This was January of 2019. And I had a friend in town from Los Angeles. I live in the New Orleans area, and she had come to visit. And we had sat down to have dinner. She had prepared like just a nice pizza at her house and baked some cookies. Her mom was there too. And we were all there. And at this time in my life, I had started earnestly seeking my solution for my binge eating issues because it had become so problematic that I was so like heavy and overweight that I had low mobility. I had low energy. I was very I wasn't depressed at this time. By that time I had really gotten through a lot of that, but I just knew I could be better and happier. And so I remember sitting down at that meal and thinking about like food a lot. And we were having a conversation, but in the back of my mind, I just was really like mentally obsessed with eating, like thinking about things like, how much food are they eating? How much food should I be eating? Like just very in my head about it. And she offered me seconds and I said, no, thank you. And I remember thinking, oh, good job. Like I turned down seconds, and I just had this kind of pride about that. Then I left her house, and it's really what happened next that is the fork in the road moment. So I was driving my husband's utility van for whatever reason, which is like one of those large AT&T service vans. I got in and I got on the highway and I took out my phone and I got on the Domino's Pizza app and I ordered pizza. And I was driving on the highway, so 60, 70 miles an hour. I was on my app on my phone ordering pizza, which, mind you, I had just consumed at a friend's house. I just turned down seconds. And so this was very odd behavior. And it's the kind of behavior, frankly, that I had been doing for many years. But for whatever reason, the next morning after having like gotten home, eaten the pizza, gone to bed, woke up the next morning, for whatever reason, it struck me in that moment how dangerous that was for both me and other people on the road, how insane it was, how it didn't make any sense. Like I had just eaten. Why did I have this desperate desire to have pizza so bad that I would put myself and others in that kind of danger? And I remember I had a mentor at that time who was helping me through my binge eating problems. I remember calling her up and just saying, like, this is crazy. This thing happened. And I was talking to her with tears in my eyes and saying, this doesn't make any sense. What is this? What is wrong with me? And she just said, what does powerlessness feel like to you? And when she asked me that question, it was like, I got it. I got that I had been overthinking, overanalyzing, trying to like strong arm myself into recovery. And from that point forward, I just became open, like sincerely open to actually receiving help. Because until that point, I thought I had been open. And it wasn't until I kind of had that rock bottom moment, if you will, that I really got sincerely open. And that's when my true answers started just coming into my life. And that led to me taking full responsibility for my life, for everything about my life, my emotions, my thoughts. And what I ended up doing was taking stock of like everything that I thought made me binge eat, and I say that very specifically because I now realize that none of those things made me, quote unquote, made me binge eat. But at the time I thought they did. And I took stock of everything. And I just went through that list one by one. And I said, okay, well, I have all these resentments, for example. What is my part in these resentments? because I'm the one who's suffering, you know? No matter what anybody else did to me, I'm the one sitting here with this resentment that's just tearing me apart. So what's my part? Like, can I see my side of this and how I contributed? And when I started doing that, I remember going to my dad and sitting down with him, and I said, you know, during it was a certain period in my life that I was living with my dad as an adult, and I said, you know, during that year, I was incredibly selfish. And I know that my behavior put a strain on yours and mom's marriage, and it probably affected everyone else in the house. And I'm sorry.
Hmm.
And I want to know how I can make things right. And this is the second fork in the road because the way that my dad responded, I could never have imagined it. Because what I haven't talked about is the fact that me and my dad, I think maybe I kind of alluded to it a little bit, but he and I had had a very contentious relationship from my perspective my entire life. I thought that there was nothing but hostility between us. I was constantly trying to feel his love, you know, and never felt like I could feel it from him. But when I sat down with my dad that night, the way that he responded to me was incredible. He started to talk about how he first of all had like seen the things that I was talking about. Like he did observe like selfish behaviors and stuff like that. So he acknowledged it. But then he said, you know, but that was never you. And I never believed that that was you. And he said, who you are is the person who's sitting here right now saying this to me. And I felt so seen in that moment. I'm about to start tearing up right now, but I remember just knowing that that was everything that I had ever wanted in our relationship, you know? And from that day forward, our relationship changed. I mean, it's completely 180 from what it was before. And it's beautiful, you know? And like, I never would have expected that binge eating would have led to me getting my relationship with my dad that I wanted, you know?
Yeah.
So that was the second fork is like it's like in that moment, I got new eyes. I started seeing the entire world completely different from taking that step of having that conversation with him. Because I started to see, whoa, if I have been totally like filtering out an entire experience of my dad, what else am I not seeing in my life? Like what other blind spots and blocks do I have? And it just opened up